Therese Lynette,
Hey, Samara.
how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. We had a rough week.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Mhm,
But I
mhm.
was thinking, and I was like, I was reading something, and they were talking about, could you stay with your partner if y'all were unequally yoked? And I was like, that would be a good conversation to have. And I'm thinking of it as if like religion or things like that. What's your opinion on that?
It just depends. It just depends because now I used to think that unequally yoked was two different religions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but of course, the more you live, the more you find out things on your own. And I knew a guy. He and I wasn't romantically involved, but he was very kind and gentle and very respectful. But he was Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a conversation, and he said that he had a girlfriend that even though he wasn't Christian, he went to church with her.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, it just it 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 depends on, as far as religion, unequally yoked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I'll say the reason why I say yes for that is because I feel like everything that could change, or everything that can change could change.
Mm.
Because you could get married to a Christian man or a man with the same faith, and he decides, later on in his life that he doesn't want to be Christian anymore.
Right.
But what if he still treats you with respect and he loves you? You know?
Yeah, that's something to think about. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, that's true. Um, I don't think I could, because I knew someone who grew up Christian. She passed away. No, I'm sorry. She grew up Christian. Um, she met a man who was Muslim, got married, um, became a Muslim, and before her death, I believe that she went back to Christianity. But because they were still legally married, he buried her the way they bury Muslims, which she was just wrapped in a sheet and put into, I guess, the earth, or her, the hole, the 6 feet hole or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't happen in Christianity, as far as burials. And I remember the family taking it so hard of how they believe and how she was buried. um I think it's too many. It's too, I think it would be too many issues to come up in the relationship, like Christmas, Jesus' birth, and um I think it would just be hard. I think
Well,
think it would be hard. I don't think it would be worth the fight, to me. I don't, because then you raise children, even though I'm not having any more children, but then um just it would just be different. It would just be different to me.
what if he was okay with you celebrating Christmas? What if he was okay with going to your family house? And because Christmas, the way that we celebrate it,
Very commercial.
it's not biblically correct.
Right. You're right.
So I feel like, like I said it before, the older I get, the more the thought of God is so much broader than what I was raised on. Because, we have people on the other side of the world that don't know anything about being Christian or anything about Jesus. They only know what their family has taught them, what their culture is. Um, I believe we talked about it before when we were, speaking about grief and how different cultures handles, things like death.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do we write them off or say they're going to hell because they don't believe in Jesus?
Right. Right. And I used to be one of those people until you say like life changes you and you think I can't say who's going to hell or heaven. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that would be one of the things the old me would probably say, girl, I ain't mess with him. He believe in this, he going to hell, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
quick to say that somebody's gonna be going to hell. So yeah, I think it kind of I guess it would be more of um I don't know if they would be that strong in their word or what they believe if they go into church with me. You know what I'm
Not
saying?
necessarily.
You think are they just doing it just to please their significant other?
It's people that claim to be Christians that go to church just to please people.
You right.
It's people that goes to church that are Christians that are not saved. They're just there. Some people do it based on habit because of how they were raised. Now, with me, I understand that there are other religions out there, and I get it. But as I stated before, when you and I were talking, um, I didn't choose to be black. Black chose me,
Right.
but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Right.
Um, like even your relationship with your mother, like I may get along with someone else's mother more than I get along with mine, but I'm not going to change her for anything in the world.
Right. Right. Right.
And so, I don't know, I just look at things that way. So I can't honestly say that and then being sure of who I am, I don't think that would just be a total deal breaker if he was another religion. Now, if he was a different religion where he's not understanding my beliefs and he wants to use his religion to chastise me or to argue the fact that I am Christian, that Jesus is my Lord and Savior,
Mm-hmm.
that will be a different situation. But if you come into a relationship with that understanding, okay, that you believe what you believe, we both believe in God. As long as you're not a devil worshiper, I don't think that's
Right.
the issue. Um,
Well, let me ask you
but
this.
if you still treat me right and you love me as a person and vice versa, I really don't see the issue.
Well, let me ask you this. What if, like, say for instance, you have some religions that believe things differently, like medically. Some religions they can't get blood, things like that. Um, how would you feel if it was up to your husband to make those life changing decisions if you would ever have anything to happen?
That would be something that, of course, I would have to deal with. And then my faith comes in that God is in control of me. My
Mm-hmm.
God is in control of me. And so if it's meant for me, based on the husband that I chose, if he didn't want to give me the treatment that I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, you have those type of discussions with people before you get married. Like, I know you believe in this, but if the doctor says that I need a blood transfusion,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. And see, the thing with that with me is that's why, to me, it would be a deal black breaker because I don't know. I mean, depending on who you marry, they still can 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 get a little shady or something like that where it happen. But if I know how you believe, and I know that you really believe that, I would be
Mm.
afraid. Even though, yes, I do believe in God. Yes, I do believe that He has me, and but I probably would be afraid of
But
the decision making for myself, even though He knows what I believe.
you can put that in place.
Yeah.
You could put that in place that this is my decision. This is what you can have that documented because with when my mother was dying of cancer, she didn't want any tubes in her. She signed a do not resuscitate,
Mhm.
and so they had to transport. We set up hospice at the house, so they transport her from the hospital to hospice. And before they could transport her, I had to sign off on her DNR.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, no, I cannot do that.
Mhm.
And it was like, well, she already made the decision
Right.
that that's her wishes. Do not resuscitate.
Right. Right.
And so I had no choice but to sign it
Right. Right. Right.
because that was her wishes.
Yeah. 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 That would definitely be interesting. I actually knew somebody who was Christian and married a Muslim too, and she said that she said she tried to talk to him. I don't know. I'm sorry if I don't know much about the religion, but wherever they go to worship, they were at
Mm-hmm.
that place, and she said she was trying to talk to him, and that somebody told her husband to tell her that she needs to stay in her place and stay in line, that she does not speak to him. And I was like, girl, I would have been out the door after that moment. And she said that that's how she was. She said when they would do things with that community, that she had to take a back seat because she was the wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking at her like, how I know that was hard. And she said, yeah. She said, I was just trying to ask him what we was gonna eat after church. Uh, and she said that,
At the mouse.
yeah, at the, what is it called? I'm sorry.
Mouse.
Yeah. She was like, I was just asking him, you know, what he wanted to eat. And she said, the people said I couldn't talk to him. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Certain and that's why it was up to him to educate her
Right.
that hey, when we're in the mosque, you have to sit in the back. I sit in the front. We cannot speak. This is the reason why it's like that.
Right. And
So,
that's
but she didn't have an issue though, did she?
I think she had an issue, but I don't think that's what ended them. I think she was okay with playing the role, but I think this was a conversation thinking back after the fact of when she should have left.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I can't say that that actually ended them. So, it worked for them. Um, but and it's easy to say what you wouldn't do if you haven't been given that opportunity. Because I might walk out the door tomorrow and meet me a Muslim man. But I'm just feeling like I think it would be it would be hard, I would say. I think it would be hard. But, so that's just my unpopular opinion, maybe. But, you know. But to go back to what you were saying, how we were taught things, I never forget I had a conversation with my mama. And we were talking about going to church, spirituality, whatever. And I grew up differently than how they are now. We had Christmas parties, alcohol. My dad used to have his friends come over. They used to gamble. Um, Smoke used to be in the house. They would be smoking. We had a door to separate like the living room and the den area from the back rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was telling me that she realized that she never, that it was known just to go to church. She grew up going to church, but she didn't know salvation. And she said it was habit. She said my mama went to church, my grandma went to church, we went up going to church, but we didn't know salvation. And when you said that, I was like, wow, that is true. Some people do things out of habit, and that was the habit. Now that they know salvation and know Jesus, they it's totally different when you go with to my parents' house now compared to how they are when my kids came up, compared to how I came up.
So is that salvation or is that morals?
No, it was salvation because they were then they were then they knew then what they practiced more of what Jesus would do, what God would want, the way that they were living. Um, they believed in morals when they were doing the things that they were doing, you know. But I guess to open their eyes, they learned they became saved, and then they realized a lot of the things they were doing were not of God, so to speak, of the thing how they were living their life, even though we stayed in church, but they just didn't have that teaching of salvation. So
Okay.
I thought that was I thought that was very interesting.
So what is the meaning of salvation?
Believing in Jesus, that he died for your sins.
Okay. So that has nothing to do with morals.
Yeah, moral. I know, I understand what you're saying. Morals is something that you have, like, don't steal from somebody. That's like your morals, not to steal.
Okay. Because you were making a distinction of that because they didn't do certain things that wasn't salvation. So that's how I was trying to get a understanding. Like, are you saying because they did certain things that they wasn't saved?
Yeah, that's what she was saying. She said because it was habit to go to church, but she didn't know, she wasn't saved. It was a habit to go to church, but she can honestly say that she wasn't a saved woman. She just went to church, just like we talked about before, how you can just go to church. And that's how they live their life so differently, because they didn't have I guess the teachings. That's how she explained it to me. That's why a lot of things they did back in the day versus now. She
Mm.
broke it.
See, I would look at that as morals, because salvation is different from what you do. Like, you can be saved, like, for instance, and not to basically put his life out there like that, but I can agree that DMX was saved. However, the things that he did that allegedly caused his death was not morally correct in a religion. But I believe that he was saved.
Yeah.
Get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but she specifically said she wasn't.
No, I get that part, but you had made the you made that because they did certain things that they wasn't saved. So I was just saying that with my opinion, I believe that you can do certain things that are not morally correct or right and still be saved.
Right.
Um, what are other ways that you feel like you could be um unequally yoked besides religion?
You can be unequally yoked with um maybe your career. I'm thinking if you making a certain amount of money and then he doesn't.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. when I use the term, and I'm scratching that part out. When I use the term unequally yoked, for the most part, I'm thinking about in the spiritual, aspect. When somebody tell me that we're unequally yoked, my mind gonna automatically go to spirituality. And I know that it's broken down in so many, but that's the bottom part, the bottom line. That's probably where my mind would go of somebody who's unequally yoked as far as spirituality. That's what I grew up knowing.
Okay. I mean, and that's okay. That's okay if that's how you feel, but as you can be unequally yoked on so many different levels, because you both could be saved, and like you said, the finances could be different, the way of spending could be different. um Maybe someone wants to have children and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's unequally yoked as well. So I don't know, because you can be unequally yoked other than your religion.
Right. And I think for the most part, for me, I was speaking more as the religion part. Being unequally yoked any other way, I think that happens more often than the religion. I think that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because no relationship is perfect. It's gonna always, you can balance it. But I think it's you have a lot of things that goes on in relationship that people will see that it is unequally, that you are unequally yoked. So
yeah, that is so true.
hmm
So true.
but
But I guess to give you a straight up answer, yes, I could do it. As long as we have an understanding.
right.
As long as we have an understanding in religion, and you don't use your religion to, I guess to have that understanding is that, okay, I'm not going to convert to your religion, and you're not going to convert to mine. And so we have to make sure that we set boundaries, that we're not using that as that we're not trying to persuade the other one. Now, you can get persuaded later on in life, just by the life that I live. He could be like, well, dog, how do you get this joy? How do you get this peace?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've known women who've had testimonies to where they married men who were saved but not going to church.
Mm-hmm.
And that they eventually later on in life, started going to church and started getting their morals correct, according to their religion.
Right. And what's crazy, I've been hearing lately that a lot of people are saying that they're more spiritual than have, I guess, a certain religion. I've heard more and more people are getting into their own, I guess, their own relationship with God and Jesus versus going to like churches. Like that's why so many, I think, non-denominational churches coming out, because people believe it's all about the relationship.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. I think COVID probably has opened a lot of people's eyes that, okay, we can't go to church, I can still feel God at home.
Right.
Some people think that going to church, that makes you a good person, that's the only place that the presence of God lives. And I really think part of COVID was God.
Oh yeah. I think both.
Because
Yep. we both felt, we both told each other that. I remember that conversation, that it feels like it's deeper than what is going on as far as like spiritual, you know?
Yeah, because I've, being in certain churches, especially when you're active,
Mm-hmm.
at some point you hold your pastor to a certain, I guess you put him on a certain pedestal,
Mm-hmm.
almost thinking that he's perfect.
Right.
And so once I realized, and I got that being active in church and seeing people for who they are, I've realized that they're not perfect, that they're human.
Mm-hmm.
And that the most important part is your relationship with God. And that's what the word says, that he's looking for people that's gonna worship him in truth and spirit.
Right. Right. Yep. Very true. Well, this was a great show. You opened my eyes to a lot of things, made me think about things differently. So I thank you for that. And
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
and I
Depending on swings on both
right.
sides.
And I just want everybody, have a blessed week, and we will see you next time.
God bless you. Good
Good
night.
night.